Hello, I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I love to do crochet creations and make crochet tools and accessories that you can use when you are crocheting. That includes amigurumi sticks, stitch markers, hook size charms, safety eyes that I hand paint, all sorts of stuff, as well as, of course, the plushies themselves that you will see throughout my videos. I was traveling this week, or at least over the weekend, for a wedding, so things are a little delayed. I feel like I've had that excuse a lot recently, but trying to get through it all one day at a time. And I am accepting what I can handle and what I cannot. That being said, I brought some fun little projects to get ready for my market this Saturday, and I can't wait to talk through all of the fun things that I have been working on. This upcoming weekend, I have a market in the Raleigh area, and it is a adult book fair themed market. And by adult, I don't mean adult, but grown-ups. So there's going to be various bookstores, there's going to be authors doing signings, there's going to be bookish themed items and vendors, and then there's going to be me, the crochet vendor. However, I'm really leaning into the fun and whimsical nature of my products, as is in my name, What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts. And I'm also really excited for having one of my first real fall markets of the season. I think it's safe to say fall is here. Those leaves look very green outside, but they're starting to thin out, and there's definitely some oranges and rust color leaves coming into the picture. So with that, I am excited to share some of the makes that I've made this week. As I mentioned, I was traveling this weekend. I was feeling the pressure of all the things that I needed to get done before I went on this little getaway for a wedding of my niece in California. I'm in North Carolina, complete other side of the country, and work was really crazy this week. It's been a theme for the last month. I'm dealing with it as best I can. That's a whole nother story, but crochet has been very therapeutic for me as a result of that. So I really knew I had to hone in on some serious market prep in order to get ready for this upcoming market, because I need some items that are really going to speak to book lovers. I wanted some things that are really going to represent the fall season, maybe a little bit of spooky items, and just kind of focus on things that have been bestsellers at my markets that are kind of tried and true, as well as finding some new showstoppers to grab people's attention. So to start with, I just wanted to replenish some of my sunflowers, and I was able to do that. I made 3 sunflowers. This is from the Junebug and James flower collection. It's her heirloom sunflower. I sell out of these, I think, pretty much every time I have them at a market. And I think the most I've ever had at a market is 2. And at my last market, which was about a month ago in August, it was a geek market, and I had the 2 sunflowers. And I think they sold out maybe 2 hours into the event, of a 5-hour event. So this time I was like, I have to at least have 3. If I can have 1 more, that'd be great, but I want 3 at least. I have a silver bucket that I got at Michael's that I display them in. And I have a bunch of other crocheted flowers from Junebug and James from her patterns that I use. But the sunflowers, especially in the fall, are so popular. I use Bernat Blanket. So this is the taupe color, I believe, which can be kind of hard to find. I had a really hard time finding it last year in the fall, and it became a little bit easier as the year progressed. But honestly, I stockpiled it because it was so difficult to find. So now I have it really just for sunflowers. And then beyond that, I use Bernat Mystical in the yellow and the orange colorway. And actually, I'm starting to run low in the orange. I also use the orange a lot for like Highland cows and foxes. And I feel like I kind of have to reserve it at this point for sunflowers. So I can find it at Michael's sometimes, but it's so inconsistent. And especially with it being fall, I think it's just harder to find at the moment. And last but not least, this green is also Bernat. I rarely use Bernat for anything these days, but these flowers, it's pretty much dedicated Bernat because of the thickness of it. I use dowels that I get from Lowe's. It's a hardware store here, if you're not familiar with US hardware stores. So I get a pack of, I think, 10 or 12 dowels from Lowe's, and they're perfect for these sunflowers. The pattern also actually comes with a leaf, and more often than not, I forget to put it on. I just forget to make it completely, and it hasn't seemed to affect my selling it. I do sell these at $24 each because they are pretty hefty and take a bit of time and quite a bit of yarn. But I think they're beautiful. I try to put the bucket of flowers towards the front of my booth, so it's one of the first things people see, and it really does seem to draw people in. So I am very excited to have 3 sunflowers for this market. Again, I have one more dowel left and probably just enough of the green to make one more, so we'll see. I have a list of things I want to make. It's not crazy long because I'm trying to be realistic, but there are some other things that are at the top of the list before I can even get to that. Also, if you happen to know what that green is called, it's kind of like this mossy green. I'm out of it, and I don't have any of it with labels on, and I have not for a while. All of the skeins I had of it were already wound from my ball winder, and I don't know what it's called. And it really is perfect for sunflowers in particular, but also generally for my flower stems. So if you happen to know what that is, I would love if you would drop that in the comments so I can find it, hopefully. But again, beyond that, I really am not using Bernat for very much these days. I'm trying to go through my collection. It is slow going because I can kind of make my hand cramp. I feel like it can be a little like sticky. And part of that might be the hooks that I use for it, because I'm usually using a size 7 hook. And my size 7 hooks, even though they're like clover hooks and I think very good quality in general, they are plastic at that size. So I haven't found a good metal one aside from maybe a furls hook, but I'm still not consistent enough in using my furls hooks to where I'm used to using them. And so I think it can kind of like slow me down a little. And when I'm in the thick of market prep timing, I can't be bothered. So anyways, those sunflowers are 3 items I had to make while I was still home. I couldn't bring that with me on the plane because there was no way I was going to be bringing dowels and making giant sunflowers. But I did bring some yarn on my trip to replenish some of my more popular smaller items, or items that I just thought would be popular. So let's take a look at a couple of those items. I made 3 fuzzy little capybaras, and yes, the features on this one are very distinct because I was using embroidery floss on these, but I was worried it was too fine, and then I couldn't find my black yarn that I would usually use for the features, so I used my Premier Parfait, and I didn't hate it. It's definitely thicker than I would like, but I don't know. I think it's fine. So I have my 3 little sleepy capybaras, and these are just more replenishment. I think I have 2 more that I already made as part of my replenishment checklist. So I am definitely trying to have more items of some of the smaller makes that I have, just because I think it looks a little less chaotic on my table when I have more of particular items rather than like onesie twosie of so many items. And I'm trying to lean in to the items that are under $20. So these are made with Elise Softy Plus, and you can get this yarn at Hobby Shoppy. I have it linked in my profile. It is an affiliate link, so I do get rewards when you use it, but I very much love this brand. I love Elise Veludo. I love Elise Softy Plus. I recommend it because I love it. And I think that these little capybaras, when made with this fuzzy yarn, it's easier for me to work with than Feels Like Bliss. And I think it still like elevates the make versus just using a regular chenille or blanket yarn, because it just has that really soft, like squishy kind of fuzzy look to it. So I sell my capybaras at $10 each when I use regular Premier Parfait. I believe I sold these at $12 at my last market and sold out. So definitely recommend using Elise Softy Plus for some of those items that you're looking for a fuzzier, softer kind of look. And I've used it, I think, for bumblebees too. It's really nice to work with. It's still like, it doesn't split, but the way it comes together, you can kind of stick your hook in between a thread, but not as much as I do with Feels Like Bliss. So I still have Feels Like Bliss and I still use it. But I really like Elise Softy Plus, and I think it does kind of elevate the look of some of these plushies. So they also are just pretty irresistible and like wanting to squish them. But I brought this with me on the plane and on my trip. And honestly, this is the perfect pattern for that, because I brought stuffing, but I didn't stuff them until I was like just about to land on the flight home, just because I had the stuffing available within reach. But I was able to just make the shell of it and have the last row waiting to be finished off. But there's no safety eyes or anything, since they're these sleepy little capybaras, so you don't have to worry about bringing safety eyes. It was just a nice project to bring on a trip, and didn't take up a ton of space. So I cranked out 3 of those guys, and I love them. Next up, I did bring some safety eyes, and that was in particular to make some little rats. These are the rats from QB Crochet's pattern, and I sell these as part of my adoption kits. I only recently made the change of selling them as part of my adoption kits, so I have little puppies, kittens, rats, and snakes. And the rats and snakes are now selling more than the puppies and kittens. They go in a really cute little cardboard box with a window and come with a small rolled up adoption certificate. And people have gotten really excited to like pick out the color of rat. And I think I had one tan one left. The gray and the white sold really fast. I had a fuzzy one too. I just haven't had time to make a fuzzy one. But I believe I now have 4 or 5 rats in my collection with adding these two. So I'm feeling pretty good about my adoption kit supply for rats. And I recently made quite a few snakes too. So I'm feeling solid about the kits for those. And I find that with the rats and snakes too, those in particular are not always little kids that are getting those. Those are usually like teenagers or adults that are getting the rats and snakes. And the adoption kit is kind of more of a bonus when I tell them like, oh yeah, it comes with the little kit. Then they think it's really cute. But beyond that, you know, they're usually just seeing the little plushie of the rat or the snake and they're like, this is so cute. And then I tell them like, oh, and it comes with this. And they're like, oh, that's fun. I have to get it. So yeah, so happy to have those replenished. And there's one more project that I brought on the plane. This was another easy one to bring for traveling. I'd highly recommend. So let's take a look at that. All right, I made 6 of these little ghost costumes for the ghost dogs. And I made the heads of 3 dogs and assembled them when I got home. So these costumes, the white ghost costume is perfect because again, you don't need stuffing for it. You can just do the base of it. With the dog heads, I did make the ears and the head separate, just didn't stuff them or anything. And once I got home, I assembled it all together. I made the little pumpkins. I do everything for these guys in batch makes. It just makes it really easy. And these are going to be, this will be the first time these are debuting at one of my markets, but I think they're going to be a big hit. So I have 3 of them that are complete. This one, I did use the Elise Softy Plus because I had some left over from my capybaras that I was making, and it doesn't require a lot of yarn, and I just thought this kind of looks like a doodle. And then I did 2 gray dogs and the little pumpkin baskets. I don't bother doing the design on the baskets just because I don't have faith in the consistency of me working with felt or little bits of yarn to have it be a cute jack-o'-lantern face. And I think the message kind of gets across that it's a little pumpkin basket as is without it. So I haven't brought these in a market before, but I did sell one on my Palm Street that I had recently. And I don't sell a lot of plushies on my Palm Street. Most people are there for my crochet tools. So the fact that like the plushie of this went so fast, I really do think that this is going to be something people will see and just instantly want to grab. I'm planning on selling these for $15 a piece. They don't take a ton of time, but enough that I think the $15 is warranted. They are hollow underneath, so yeah, they just stand up really nicely. Would be super cute on a little desk or as part of your Halloween decor. So I'm going to try and make 3 more of the heads to go in with the ghost costume shells that I have still and call it done for this market. I'm really hoping those perform well because I think that they are super cute. I have one more Halloween themed item, though it could be every day. And that is these little swing bats. So these are some swing buddies, charm animals. That might be the closest I've gotten to saying that word properly if you've watched my videos before. And this is by the Crochet Zoologist. She has a couple pattern bundles of swing buddies that are a little different than the ones actually sitting on swings. These all hang in some shape or form. And yeah, the bat just comes together really quickly. It was a very satisfying make to just crank out a couple of these bats, attach them to their swings. I hope I can make a couple more. I have one spider and I'd like to make some more spiders too. But this makes me think, it makes me think of so many things. And as a book lover and scary stories kind of lover, I think this is perfect for like Dracula or something, but also What We Do in the Shadows fans. If you know, you know, just hear bat being yelled out in Laszlo's voice. Yeah, so I love these little bats. Honestly, if I was ever going to hang something from my rearview mirror, this would probably be what I do. All right, I've been sharing that I've been making progress on making my positive positivity items, but I hadn't actually finished any of them because it requires gluing the signs on. But I did 3 of my positive pickles. You're kind of a big deal. And then I did 3 of my fine apples. It's fine, you're fine, everything's fine. So again, replenishing what I have. I believe I now have, as a result of this restock, 5 of each of them. And then I have positive potatoes, which I don't think I sold any, or maybe I sold 1 at my last market. So I feel good on the quantity of these. But these are, again, one of those items that does really well with adults rather than kids. So I wanted to have a good amount of these for this book fair on Saturday. I just display them in a basket with a little sign that says positive or emotional support, and then it lists what they are, and they're $10 each. And yeah, like I hear people, even if it's on the other side of my booth, I hear people say, oh my gosh, it's a positive pickle or whatever. And then shortly thereafter, they usually walk up to check out. So love these. The fine apple pattern and the positive potato are my own patterns. They are on my Instagram page as a free pattern. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow the link in the description below to get there. It's What's Up Cupcake Crafts, and you'll see my free patterns pinned to the top of the page as long as I can pin them there, or I'll share them in my stories. Really the only thing that keeps them from being pinned forever is the need to pin other things. So whenever I have a new pattern or something like that, eventually something's going to get bumped, but I do like having those at the top of my page. And I also have the little signs so that you can do a screenshot of them or download them. All of the items that I talk about today, all of the patterns I'm referencing are linked in my description below. I have a link to my website, whatsupcupcakecrafts.com, and on there you'll find my favorite patterns, my favorite supplies. Most of the supplies I use are from Amazon, but anything else that I use that I think is noteworthy, I link within there. And again, like my favorite yarn links, most of it is Hobby Shoppy. And while the yarn from Hobby Shoppy is coming from Turkey, I find that the shipping is so fast to the United States, it's not an issue. I haven't placed an order yet with tariffs. I know that they were doing an upcharge initially to cover the cost of tariffs, and I don't feel like that's on their site anymore. And I actually need to place another order for them. So I think if you have any questions about tariffs with them, they're very responsive in their correspondence, but I don't think that I think they have it probably built in within their shipping or the pricing that they have. And their shipping over, I think, $99 is free. So honestly, I love ordering from them because it comes so quickly. And while the skeins have a little bit less yarn, they're still the same size as like a Premier Parfait skein. And the price, like, I haven't been able to beat it on any other site. So I like Hobby Shoppy. And with that, the next items that I made were using Elise Voluto. And I solely use Elise Voluto for these items. And they're my mystery box items. So I had to replenish some of my mystery box items. I use patterns from Poggy's Place. And the 6 designs that I use, I'm going to try and name them all off and not forget any of them. I had to replenish the monkey and the beaver because I was completely out of those. I have 4 boxes left on the other side of the room. I'm like, keep glancing over at it. So I have 6 designs that go in there. So there's a monkey, a beaver, an opossum, a platypus, a firefly, and there's something else I can't remember. Anglerfish. And the anglerfish is not a Poggy's Place pattern. I believe it's a Do Cotton pattern, but I will confirm and I will list the name on the screen. And again, it'll be linked below. But I think the anglerfish is adorable in the ugliest way possible. So I love including it. And I've had people comment that they'd be happy with any of the items in my mystery box when they see, like, I have a list of what they could get, and I do photos of each thing so they have like a general idea of what it looks like. So I think that anglerfish is pretty stinking cute for what it is. Yeah, so I made 3 of these total. This is one of the things though that I need to replenish more of. So I need to do at least 1 more beaver. I like to have 1 set of 6 of each thing. And with these 2, I will have 1 set of 6 and then 1 monkey. So I need to make 1 more of everything else. And if I was trying to get ahead, which ideally I am, but I'm also just trying to like survive and make it to this market, I would have an additional set of 6. So I'd have 3 sets of my mystery boxes so that I can go into my next market not panicking. That being said, I have a little bit of time before my next market, and we'll get into that in a minute. But all right, this is the piece de resistance of what I made. I'm sorry if you're French or French Canadian and I butchered that. But again, this is a book themed market. So I had to make some book characters. And anticipate my next video. If you're not following me already, hit that subscribe button because you're not going to want to miss this. And if you're enjoying this video so far, hit that like button. But I'm making some book characters, and my next video I plan on like kind of unveiling all of the book characters I'm bringing to this market. But this is Mr. Darcy. So I love this. Isn't he so charming? He's got his little curls. I probably need to like clean those up a little. But I love how he turned out. This pattern is from Crochetlandia, I believe. I've done a few patterns of theirs. In particular, the Little Prince that I did previously is one of their patterns. So I knew what I was like signing up for when I did this. And this is all in Premier Parfait. I just find that they have the most color variety when it comes to hitting kind of very different like tones in clothing, skin tones, things like that, where I can kind of have more options to work with. And it comes at a good size. They recommend putting a button at the base of each foot so that it's like, it has a better chance of standing up. I don't know that this guy would stand up on his own. Oh, little fuzzies. But I do 3D print like a little disc that I put at the bottom. Also, his hat comes off. I thought about attaching it, but I like that it comes off. So yeah, here's Mr. Darcy. And I'm so happy with how he turned out. I have a few other book characters I'm going to make before this market on Saturday. And the time it took me to make this, again, I've done their patterns before, so I had an idea of what I was in for. It is time consuming, but I find that their directions are just very straightforward. And because I've done them enough times at this point, this is probably the third or fourth pattern I've done of theirs, maybe fourth or fifth. I feel like prepared going into my next one. That being said, the next one I picked is a little bit harder, but you'll have to wait and see what that comes out to be. But I am planning on having that one for my next video, where I'm going to do a roundup of the book characters that will be at my market, because this is a book fair and I want to do a display where I have either a copy of the book or a printout of the book cover next to the character or characters associated with it. And I think it's really going to be fun. And again, kind of just a neat way to draw people into the booth who might not typically be looking for crochet plushies at a book fair type event. So, you know, again, I'll have my tried and true items, mystery boxes, adoption kits. I'm going to have more of my general plushies like dragons and things like that. But I really want to have something else that kind of speaks to some favorite novels that are out there. Yeah, I also have my Kindle covers, book sleeves, and coffee koozies. I don't bring those to every market because I'm often battling with space, but I do have like some grid walls now that I'm putting up. And with that, I'm able to hang things a little bit better too. So I can hang some of my crochet tools, which I plan on bringing as well. I'm starting to get the hang of kind of advertising, displaying those items for crocheters so that when people come into the booth and they see that I have other options available other than just plushies, it like can resonate more. Because, you know, a lot of times when you're a crochet plushie booth, you'll have people that come in and say, oh, I can do that, or I know someone who could make that. And so I'm trying to also approach that with the, oh, well, I have things for you if you like to crochet. So that's where, you know, they can shop the stitch markers or the amigurumi sticks, whatever it might be. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for this market. Also because I just love books and cannot wait to do some shopping myself. I love books and I love bookish things. But yeah, these are the crochet makes that I have thus far. I do have that short list of things that I'm going to try and get done before this market. I feel like it's pretty doable, knock on wood, assuming the week generally goes as planned. I tried to be very realistic when writing this list up. When it comes to things like making 2 whole sets of mystery boxes, that's another story. But I also still have to update my inventory with some of the new makes that I've done recently. I have to tag items. Yeah, I have a bit of stuff to do, but it's fine. I'm feeling like motivated to hit this week at a run, at a full sprint almost, we'll say. last week, amidst all of the kind of frantic prep work that I had for this quick getaway, we were traveling without our kids across the country. It's the first time we've ever done that, so I had a lot of anxiety about doing that. We had family watching them, and of course, everything went fine, but like I was just really stressed about it and trying to have everything done in advance of that. Work, my day job was working full force last week, so I was fairly stressed out with all of the things I had to get done from that perspective. When it rains, it pours. And then I have just been feeling kind of anxious about my fall market schedule. I have been trying to consistently work with this one market company throughout the year because I love the way they run their markets. And they're very candid in their policy of like, the more markets you attend to, the more likely you're actually going to be getting into those markets. And not just for the sake of like, obviously, if you're applying to 20 of their markets, you'll get into at least one of them, versus if you apply to 2, you may not get into either. But like showing that you are available, that you're ready to go, all of that stuff. And they're fantastic at advertising their markets. They are expensive, but I find that you get what you pay for in their case, and you do have like incremental opportunities to add more to your market. So you can pay additional money to be featured in their emails, in their social media postings, to have a photographer take photos of you at the event and they'll post those photos, things like that. I haven't done all of those things, but I have done like the email boost. And I've had people come to my booth and say, I saw this item in the email and I want it. I'm like, okay. So, I see the benefits of that. But I applied to so many of these markets starting at the beginning of the year. I just threw my name into as many as I knew I'd be around for or could consider. And they do not let you know if you got into a market until 2 months exactly to the day out from it, essentially. So when it comes to fall markets, that can be a little stressful because a lot of other markets will pop up throughout the year, or they may have their application period at a different time, and you don't know if you're going to get into those markets. So it can just be kind of a waiting game and gambling on like, am I going to get into a market or not? Do I want to risk the chance that I'll get into the market, but then get into another one I am really hoping to do instead or whatever, and then I have to tell one I can't do it? I never want to do that because I just don't think it reflects well, unless there's something like that comes up or, some valid reason. And any reason can be valid, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to, especially if you're really trying to get into this one company's markets and they finally accept you and you're like, oh, by the way, I can't do it. I'm trying not to do that. So I had a lot of anxiety about my fall market schedule because of that, and really tried to balance out like, okay, I applied for these markets, but not for this weekend because that's this other market that I'm hoping to get into. What are the odds? I don't know, but I don't want to like risk jeopardizing that, whatever. So I got a rejection notice for I got a rejection notice for them for every single market I applied to in November. And that hurt. Like, I was hoping for at least one in November. And November is my birthday month. So I also tried to like give myself a weekend, my birthday weekend, with no markets. And I was like, did I make a silly mistake? Like, should I have offered that weekend up? Because then if I didn't have a market another weekend, that could have been the weekend I held for anything birthday related, whatever. Like, sometimes I'll do something for my birthday. Sometimes it just depends. It really depends on my mood and the headspace I'm in at that time of year. But anyways, I didn't get into a single one of their markets in November, and I was really down on myself about it and like second guessing all my decisions. I only got into one of their markets in October, and I'm still waiting on the rest. And so, it is what it is. They have so many people applying for their markets. And one of the things I love about this market is they don't oversaturate their vendor pool. I've honestly felt a little burned by a couple of markets this year that did have so many similar duplicate vendors that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to apply to them next year, because I don't think it does any of the vendors any favors when they're having so many of the same items represented. And this market does fantastic at not doing that. So I was feeling really down about it. But October, like I'm actually really good with October. I have 2 markets on the schedule. They are both on the same weekend, which is going to be crazy. My husband is very stressed on my behalf, and I'm like, it's going to be fine. It's a Friday night and it's a Saturday day. And he's like, I don't know how you are going to handle that. And I was like, the car's already going to be loaded. I have almost a month between my next market and those 2. So I'm just going to concentrate on the best sellers and replenishing them and all that stuff. Again, there's only so much, but I also have a ton of inventory of things. And yes, I put a lot of pressure on myself, but that's also because I'm really trying to come more than prepared for something so that I have every opportunity to sell what's available, because the less items you have, the less items you're going to sell. So might as well make as much as you can to sell. Does that make sense? So I feel like it'll be fine. That weekend will be a bit crazy, but I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a fun weekend. I will be exhausted on Sunday, but it's fine. And that's all I have in October. So November, I have another book fair I'm very excited about. I'm also very anxious about how this one's going to go to ensure that the next one is fine too. But overall, I think it'll be fine. It's also on Small Business Saturday. Again, I think just attracting the people in the audience that I want, like going to markets that I myself would be interested in going to, another book fair, great. That being said, as I'm spiraling and stressing over my market schedule that I had lined up, I got a notice of admission to a huge market in the area. I screamed when I got the email. So essentially this market is massive. It's at a high school. I've never done it before, but I have been hearing about this market for years. Even before I was vending at markets, I was hearing about this market. And that the vendor list, there's hundreds of vendors, and vendors are clamoring to get into this event. It's a juried admission, which I don't know if I've ever successfully been picked from a juried admission process before, but they actually reached out to me and they said, we have quite a few crochet vendors already, so we don't like to duplicate our offerings, but I saw that you mentioned you also had crochet tools and other items. Can you tell us more about that? So I sent over photos of all the other things I made, and I said I would love to go and bring these items, but I could not solely have a booth there selling those. I'd have to be able to sell my plushies, because again, I don't know that I could cover my booth fee with the sales from those items. They're such a new item to me. I wouldn't feel comfortable leaning in on that completely and hoping there's enough people who like crochet that would buy these things. So I sent in, that information, those photos, that commentary, and just waited. So they had their notice period, and I got a notice of acceptance, and I just was overjoyed, bouncing around the house, so happy, because that I have 2 markets in November and that's it. And I think that's perfectly fine. But before that, I only had the one, and I was like, November is the time. If I'm doing a market, I think last November I maybe had 3 markets, and those were my best markets, because it's just within reach of the holidays. People are doing their shopping. It's not too close where people have already bought everything. And depending on how your booth assortment and everything is set up, that can be really great. So I'm so excited. It's a very small space. I think it's like a 15 by 5 space. So it's basically like 2 tables. I'm going to make it work. That one I will definitely be doing a test run of. I also have my Works Craft Market that I'm doing, which was one of my best markets that I did last year. And I have a better idea of what to expect for that this year and think that I can come in with like a more honed like offering of things because I know what to expect. Because I don't know if they had their craft fair years prior since the pandemic. And so this was like the first time it came back, I think, or maybe I was traveling when they did it last. I don't know, but I was able to do it last year and just, it was a fantastic market for me. So one thing also that's really great about it too, there's 0 fees for it. So of all the markets I'm doing, that's the only one I ever do that has 0 fees. So that's very exciting. Everything that comes in is purely profit at that point. Yeah, so technically I have 3 markets during the month of November, but the work one, like it doesn't count yet in my mind because I don't know. They don't really send out instructions or anything either. It's kind of you just show up and grab a spot in the cafeteria. So I haven't wrapped my head around that yet. I'm waiting on holiday market admissions now for December. And those, I also kind of set some boundaries for that this year because last year I was kind of grabbing markets at the last minute up until the week before Christmas or maybe even the week of. I can't remember what day Christmas fell on last year, but I had some really rough markets, like especially outdoor markets. It was freezing when I did those markets in December. And not only was I cold, but no one wanted to shop in the cold. So like poor traffic, or it was markets where they had way too much saturation of similar vendors and, you know, like it would be a market of 15 vendors and 6 of them were crochet plushies. So I definitely had some like lessons learned from last year. And one of those lessons was I don't like to shop in the cold or be out in the cold trying to encourage people to shop from me. So yeah, I want to be warm inside. So I did not apply to markets pretty much past the first week of December because of that, which, I mean, who knows? There could be a cold spell in the beginning of December. Raleigh generally has a very mild climate around that time, so you never really know. But that being said, I also didn't want to be crazed with market prep and stuff like that leading up into the holidays. I don't think the cold was the only factor. I think a lot of people were done with their shopping by the time I was out there the weekend before Christmas. So I just didn't want to throw money into paying vending fees only to just have it be like too late for people shopping. And there are some markets that I think still do fantastic at that time. Again, I think that there's an audience for it if it's an indoor, warmer shopping experience. If they have the right mix of vendors, I think there's so many ways it can still be successful. But I just wanted to, with everything going on in my life and where I kind of expect things to be around December, I wanted to kind of cut things off past that first week. I think I have one possible market the second week of December, but again, who knows if I'll get into it or not. We'll see. But again, was kind of looking at that and worried about what my schedule would look like, especially after getting those rejection notices for all of my markets in November from that one company. I had gotten a acceptance notice for another market that I had applied to that I felt like I had no chance of getting into. But it's this kind of newer market organizer. I've just been admiring how they've been putting their events together, how they're kind of curating them, where they're located, the themes that they've been going with. And I had already applied to, I think, 3 of their markets, and I think they only had 4. Like, I had applied to almost every single market, and the only reason I didn't apply to one of them is because I was going to be out of town, or I had another market that weekend, and I got rejected from all of them. So I applied to their December market thinking, like, might as well try. What's the worst that could happen? Like, they'll just tell me no again. But I got in. So that was the latest market that I got into this past week. And it was another, like, oh my gosh, screaming moment, because I had actually just watched a video from Chester and Pearl, who is a cat toy, stickers, magnets, toys maker that is local in the area. And I've had her stuff for my cats. I love her stuff. It's super cute. Very specific audience. It's for cat lovers or people who are buying gifts for cat lovers. But she has just really started to lean into her YouTube channel. And I was watching one of her videos about a recent market, and she did a market with them. And I actually commented on her video like, oh my gosh, I really want to work with this vendor too. Thanks for sharing your experience, whatever. It was really cool to see. And she talks about it. And one of the things she talked about with this market was that it actually wasn't even like a huge numbers market for her, but just the curation of the other vendors and the experience in itself is just so wonderful that it makes it worthwhile for her. And that's what I love about this market. So I don't know how it will go for me. It is an indoor market. It's actually at the venue where I've been at my geek markets, the last couple of them for this year. And so that is a huge plus in December, again, with the cold weather. I got one of the larger booth sizes, which is still smaller than a 10 by 10 tent, but I do not need to bring a tent because it's indoors. That is fantastic, because I can set up on my own if I need to, which I can't really do on my own with a tent. My tent is just not easy to put together on my own. And honestly, when I've gone to markets and like started to set up my tent while I'm waiting for my husband to come back, usually people are so engrossed in what they're doing in their setups. Like, I've felt weird about asking for help. It's a me thing. But anyways, yeah, so I am so excited for this market. And honestly, to have 2 indoor markets, both being the ones that I was like screaming excited about getting into, that don't require tents, fantastic. I do need to practice my layouts. This is a note for future Christine. Like, do not forget to practice your setups. But yeah, so if worse comes to worse, I don't get into any other markets, and I would be sad about it because market FOMO. Again, I also really like working with these other market providers, but there's only so much I can do at this point, and I can't control if they're going to pick me or not. So I'm very thankful for what I have, because honestly, if I hadn't gotten into anything in December, I probably would have cried. But I'm really happy about this first weekend of December market. If I get into any of the others that I've applied for, that is icing on the cake. But you know, again, like, I need to accept what is coming my way and what I can prepare for. And this could be just part of my like mental burden of preparing for how much I need to make for all of these markets, assuming they're all successful. And I'm just really optimistic about this year. I feel like I put a lot of work into my business this year, and it's been challenging. And, you know, I take time from my family to constantly be crocheting. I'm trying to figure out how to balance that. One of the great things about not having so many markets in the fall is I can go to my kids' tennis matches. I had to miss a bunch of them last year because I was doing a bunch of markets, and my kids are at the point now where like they're 10 and 12. And so they've been playing tennis since they were like 4 or 5. So they're at a point where they're actually doing like matches regularly and things like that. And it's really fun to see them play. But I've had to miss them previously. So now I get to see more of their matches this season. I'm really excited about that. And yeah, just being there for things. Like, I feel like I have had to sacrifice a lot of time with friends and physical activity time for myself because I'm hunkered down crocheting things or working on my business. And I'm excited to like make it to the end of this year and kind of have that like reflection of how it all went based on what the goals were that I set for the year. So this feels kind of like emotional, and it shouldn't be. But I'm just really excited. So I'm excited about my fall plans. I'm excited about my market this weekend. While I was gone this past weekend, I did get quite a few orders on my Etsy. I did introduce a new item. Well, it's not quite a new item. So it's not really a new item, but it's a variation of an item. But it's my hook size tags that I have been 3D printing. I'm trying not to jingle these around so much. So I previously was doing them in like one solid color, and not for lack of trying to put them in two colors, but I was having an issue with the quality of the printing of the numbers. And I very much like just wanted to have the product out that I was like, I'm not going to deal with the logistics of figuring out the two colors to make them come out clearer and everything. And I just did the solid color. Well, my sister helps me with these items because they each, once it's printed, they each have to be pinned and then put on the things, and I have them put in order. So she was like, you know what would be great is if you did this in two colors, especially for people who have hard eyesight or have a hard time seeing. And she's like, it's me. That's the person I'm talking about, because it's hard to like put these in order and tag them and everything looking at this one solid color. I was like, I know, I want to do that. I just haven't had time. So one of the days last week when I didn't have time, but I was like, I'm going to make time, I worked on it and I got it to where I was satisfied with it. I think that it's clear. I really like the way that the tags come out printed. And I added 2 and 3 as hook sizes because I had someone reach out saying they have size 2 and 3 hooks. Could I please add those? And I was like, yes, I can. The list that I found that said what the hook sizes are apparently lied, because I was like, I feel like I have those hooks. I don't know if I have those hook sizes, but I was like, I could have sworn I'd seen those hook sizes. Why did that list say that those hook sizes don't exist? So I added those hook sizes and I made them in 2 tones with white as the color of the letter. I think it makes it so much easier to read. So right now I just have these in blue. I have them in green. And then I have them in the metallic blue color, just because I think it's pretty. I plan on doing some more. I'm trying to do things that have like a high contrast of the lettering to the background, but very happy that I was able to make these and start to put them on my Etsy, because I think it is a good option to have. And I probably will start to phase out the one color ones just as a result of that, because I think that they are easier to see. They do take a little bit extra work in the printing process, but nothing that's like too cumbersome. So anyways, I think I listed them right before I went out, or maybe right when I got back, but I had a good number of orders come in for some of my hand-painted safety eyes, those hook markers, and my safety eye installers, and some amigurumi sticks. So let's pack those items together. One thing I did not do this week, and again, I have to recognize where I'm putting my time and energy and not overdoing it, because I know that I will put so much pressure on myself and stress myself out. I did not do Crochet Roulette, the challenge for this week, which it was week 4, I believe, and it is a theme of sea life and the color pink. I was going to phone it in and do like axolotls in pink because I could use some more axolotl pops. I don't know that axolotls are sea creatures. I think they're like lake creatures or something. I don't know where they live. I see them in fish tanks. So I didn't get it done. And I'm annoyed with myself for that. But at the same time, like I had to focus on market prep and I just wasn't able to do it this time. That being said, I am going to try and get this week's or that week done this week, as well as the challenge for this week, which if you haven't checked out my shorts, that should be listed with the week 5 theme and colorway. So go check out the short if you're participating in that. And I think it kind of also just proves the point of you can participate in this challenge at any point. Like if you are going back to week 1, if you decide to skip week 2 and just do the rest of them, whatever you want, like the only pressure to do the full challenge is on yourself. So pop in and out, do what makes you happy or what challenges you in the constraints that you have for yourself and like your own sanity or market prep or whatever it might be. It really is just a fun way to interact and engage with other people within this crochet community. So I do plan on doing my sea life creation in pink this week, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it if I don't. One thing that would be fantastic for that is the pattern for my May crab, the Studio Ghibli inspired crab of Totoro. It is a pink crab wearing an adorable little straw hat, but that's an option if you're looking to participate in the challenge. But that being said, I am going to try and participate this week. We'll see how it works out. But I just wanted to comment on that because that is something I sadly cannot feature in my video this week. I do, in particular, want to make some of those book characters. I need to replenish my gachapon machine. I do think my gachapon machine is popular amongst adults more so than kids. Like kids get excited to see something that's like a turn and get a toy, but I think gachapon machines maybe have a little bit more nostalgia from what I've seen amongst grown-ups. So I would like to get a few more items within that because it's looking a little low. I think I only have 4 of the capsules in there. So those come together pretty fast, but it's a small yarn. So It's just, I have to turn my brain on in a different way to do that. And yeah, I want to make some more baby demogorgons because I have 2 and it's Stranger Things season coming up. So I think having some more of those would be good. I also got the Bitty baby demogorgon pattern. I haven't decided if I'm going to make that or the regular size one that I have been making, which has been doing well. So I'm inclined to just make that. But the Bitties could be a nice option. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of, that's another great like batch making item for me. So I think if I just crank out a couple of them in a batch, I'll be fine. And then I want to make some more dragons and fury dragons. I am completely sold out of fury dragons. I do feel like I should work on fury dragons in daylight. I have a headlamp, crochet, knitting, reading light that I can use. I just don't love to use it. And my husband and I have, like, while we were away this weekend, we started watching Wednesday finally, and we're like halfway through the season. So now I want to like finish the season. So I need things I can do while I'm watching TV. So yeah, I've got a busy week getting ready for this market. And again, I have to tag things. I have to update my Square software. I'm thinking about switching from Square to Shopify, mainly because of the barcode capability. I'm cranky that Square makes you pay so much to turn on the barcode feature, whereas for Shopify, it's more readily available. I understand Shopify seems to be better though for like web selling. What are your thoughts? Do you use Square? Do you use Shopify? Have you tried both or either in particular and lean a certain way? I have also fought with my Square reader a handful of times at markets, so there is no love lost between us. That if I was to switch to a Shopify thing, maybe it would be more consistent and working better. I don't know. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comment below. But that being said, let me know what your favorite make was that I shared in this video, or if you have any other comments. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much for joining me today, especially with all of my ramblings on market feelings and my updates around my market schedule. Maybe I'll have more news to share around those December markets, but I am very satisfied with where I'm at for my schedule. It's quality, not quantity, is what I'm going for this season. So yeah, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you'll enjoy me. I hope you will join me again for future videos, and I cannot wait to share more details about this book fair event this weekend. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Bye.